All right, hey guys, welcome to part 3 of the practice test video for Unit 4B. I think everything else is just factoring, so we'll go ahead and get started. You will have access to all those charts and tables if you need them. So some people won't need them, but you do have access to those. So if you recall from doing when A is not 1, factoring from that, there was an X. I'm going to use that here. You don't have to, but I'm going to use that here. So just remember, my goal right now is to get numbers that multiply to give me 27, but when I add them, I get 12. And let's check our signs real quick. This is positive. C is positive, so my signs will be the same. And B is positive, so they'll both be positive. So both of my numbers should be positive. So I need numbers that multiply to give me 27, but add to give me 12. So let's just check that. We know we have 1 and 27 are factors. 3 and 9, and I believe that's it. So if I add these, I get 28, and I get 12. So I'm going to use 3 and 9. And so since there's not anything in front of x squared, our answers are just going to be x plus 3 and x plus 9. So these are my two factors. And if I want to check my work, you can use box method. We have x plus 3, x plus 9. X and x is x squared. We have 3x. We have 9x. 9 and 3 is 27. X squared plus 12x plus 27. Okay, so this is my final answer. On the unit test, how it's going to ask which one of these options is a factor of this polynomial. And so it may give you x plus 3 or x plus 9. It's your job to know which one of those two would be a factor of that polynomial. Okay. All right, page 2, starting with number 17. Again, it's another factoring. So again, our goal is to find something that multiplies to give me 42, but when I add them, I get negative 13. Okay, so let's check our signs. So this is a positive, so that means we're going to have the same signs. B is negative, so they're both going to be negative. All right, so let's look at things that multiply to give me 42. So we know we have 1 and 42. We have 2 and 21. We have 3 and 3 and something. I should know this. 3 and 14. Okay. 4 cannot go into 42. 5 cannot go into 42, but 6 and 7 can. And remember, they're both negative, so let's make sure all of our factors are negative. All right. And so when I add these, I could add all of them. But remember, we're trying to get to negative 13. So look, this is going to be negative 43, negative 23, negative 17, negative 13. So negative 6 and negative 7 are the factors we're going to use. So when I go to write my answer, this is going to be x minus 6 times x minus 7. And you can use the box method to check if you'd like. I'm probably going to skip that because I've already been told that my videos are entirely too long because I won't shut up. So I'm going to skip that piece. Okay. The area of a rectangle. The area of a rectangle, this is a good problem, is 10x squared plus 41x minus 77. The length is 5x minus 7. What is the width? So we know that something times 5x minus 7 should give me 10x squared plus 41 minus 77. So let's look at this real quick. So 5x minus 7 times something and something equals 10x squared plus 41x minus 77. So let's think about this real quick. What times 5x, or what do I need to multiply 5x by to get to 10x squared? So 5 times 2 would get me to 10, and x times x would get me to x squared. Okay, what times negative 7 would get me to negative 77? I can multiply by positive 11, and that 11 times negative 7 would give me negative 77. And at this point, I'm just going to double check that this makes sense and that this gives me the answer I'm looking for. So we're going to use box method to double check that, okay? So we have 5x minus 7 and 2x plus 11. And we're just going to double check that this is the answer I get. So 5 times 2 is 10x squared. Okay? And then 5 times negative 11, or I'm sorry, 5 times 11 is 55x. 2 times 7 is negative 14x. And negative 7 times 11 is 77. So then if I add everything, I get 10x squared, 55 minus 14 is 41x, and then plus, oh, I'm sorry, this should be negative 77, minus 77, which is what we were trying to get. So the width has to be this that we came up with, this 2x plus 11. All right, number 19. Again, you can use those big charts. I'm going to do like a small version of it down here. So the first thing I want to check, is there any greatest common factor? And there's not. Yay. So we're going to multiply our A and our C, and that gives us a negative 360. Oh boy. Okay, so I need numbers that when I multiply them, I get negative 360, but when I add them, I get 2. So real quick, that tells you when this number is that small and we have a negative, that tells me that my numbers need to be really, really close together. Or actually, anytime you get a smaller number here, you need to have numbers that are really, really close together that will multiply. Okay, so let's check our signs. So this is negative, which means my signs are going to be different. This is positive, so that means my larger number is positive and my smaller is negative. Okay, so let's start listing factors. We have negative 1 and 360, which is going to be too far apart, negative 2 and 180, negative 3 and 120, negative 4 and 90, negative 5 and, is it 45? No, 72, sorry. Negative 6 and 60. I don't think 7 goes in. Negative 8 and 45. Negative 9 and 40. Negative 10 and 36. Negative 12 and 30. Let's see, 13's not going to, wait. 13's not going to work. 14's not going to work. 360 divided by 15. Okay, I've got negative 15 and 24. We're getting closer. Okay, I got negative 18 and positive 20. All right, that's as close as I can get. So negative 18 plus 20 will give me positive 2. So we have negative 18 and we have 20. Whew. Look at all that. Most of my work was just listing factors. Okay, so I'm going to do box method. We're going to start with this with our first term, 24x squared. We have negative 18x. We have 20x. And then we're going to put our last term in, that negative 15. And then we're going to start factoring out the greatest common factor from each row and each column. So if I look, 24 and 20, they can both be divided by 4 and by x. 18 and 15 can both be divided by negative 3. These two can both be divided by 6x. And 20 and 15 can both be divided by 5. So I have, if I factor, I have 4x minus 3 times 6x plus 5. Okay, and I would suggest checking that with the box method, but let's see, it's 20 and 18, which is 2. But yes, that should be correct. And if on your well, no, this is unit test, never mind. Just if it does say to check your work, make sure you check your work, especially on constructive response where it tells you to do that. Hint, hint. That might be where part of your points come from. Okay, number 20, we're going to determine whether or not this is a perfect square. If so, factor it. If not, explain why. So, perfect square trinomials is where if you factor it, you get two of the same thing. Or you're squaring something to get this. So, if it is a perfect square, we're going to factor. If not, we're going to explain why. So, I don't know if you remember, but if we have a plus b and we square it, what we get is a squared plus, we do a times, this is basically a plus b times a plus b. We're not squaring each term. So when I multiply, I get a, and a is a squared. A times b is ab, but you do that twice. So you have 2ab plus b squared. So we're going to see if this fits the formula of this. So 25x squared. Well, what's the square root of 25? The square root of 25 is 5, so that could be a 5 and an x. The square root of 16 is 4. So this could be 5x plus 4 squared. So what I want to do is see if it fits that 2ab. So 5 times 4 is 20x. And if I double it, 20x times 2 is 40x, which is what this middle term is. So if I were to factor this, I could get 5x plus 4 squared, and that would be this factored. So yes, it's a perfect square trinomial. Okay, perfect square trinomial. Okay, and that's because when I factor it, I get 5x plus 4 times itself. And you could go through and do the big factoring like I did on number 19. And you should get 5x plus 4 times itself. I'm not doing that today. We're already 13 minutes in. I've still got constructive response to do. So let me get through these two constructive response, and then that will probably be, that will be the end of the video. Okay, so 21 is just a factoring constructive response. Remember, everything else we've done is a multiple choice question. So number 19 that took us so long would have been a multiple choice question. This one is a constructive response. So it's the same kind of question, but I want to see your work on it. So remember, show all your work or explain your process. I would recommend showing your work. Okay, so 21, we're going to factor this completely. So first thing I want to do is check for a greatest common factor, which I'm checking it. I don't see one off the top of my head. So yeah, so no greatest common factor here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's determine my signs first. So this is positive, which means my signs are going to be the same. This is negative, so my signs are going to be negative. Okay, so let's multiply our A and our C. So I have 15 times 20, and that should be 300. Let me double check. Yes. So I'm looking for things that multiply to give me 300, because I did 15 times 20. Let me write that to the side. But when I add them, I want to get negative 56. So let's start listing our factors of 300. We have negative 1 and 300. Negative 1, negative 300. Negative 2 and negative 150. Negative 3 and negative 100. Negative 4 and negative 75. Negative 5. Negative 60. Negative 6 and negative 50. And I can keep going on, but remember, I'm trying to add to get to negative 56. And negative 6 and negative 50 will do that. Okay, so then I'm going to factor. So I'm going to start with my first term for my polynomial, which was 15x squared. I have negative 6x, negative 50x, and then my last term for my polynomial is 20. And then I'm going to start factoring from there. So 15 and 50, I can factor out a 5 from, and an x. Negative 6 and 20, I'm going to factor out a negative 2. Sorry. Trying to see if there was anything higher than 2, and nope, that's it. Okay? Okay, 15 and 6, I can factor out a 3 and an x. And then 50 and 20, I can factor out, and this is negative, so I'm going to make sure this is negative. I can factor out a 10. Okay, so my factored answer should be 5x minus 2 times 3x minus 10. So this is factored completely. Now, it does say show that you've checked your answer. If it says that in the instructions, that means that points are attached to checking your answer. If you don't check your answer, you are losing a few points. So let's check our work. And again, this is going to seem silly because it's going to look just like this, but, well, it should. If it doesn't, that means we factored wrong. Okay, so let's multiply. 3 times 5 is 15, x squared. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. Negative 10 times 5 is negative 50x. Negative 10 times negative 2 is positive 20. And if I combine all my like terms, I get 15x squared minus 56x, I'm running out of room, plus 20. It should be a polynomial, but I ran out of room. So we've checked it. We have our correct answer. Yay! Okay, number 22, last question. We want to factor x squared plus x minus 72, and then we want to complete this table. So this is our original form. This is where our factored form is going. So let's factor x squared plus x minus 72. So this doesn't have a, or a is just 1, so we're just going to do a basic factoring. Let's check our signs. This is negative, so that means we're going to have different signs. This is positive, which means my larger one is positive, and my smaller one is negative. So when I do this, I should have an x plus and an x minus. Okay. All right, so we are going to try to factor this. So I need things that multiply to give me negative 72. But when I add them, so you see how there's nothing in front of the x? When I add them, I'm trying to get a 1. So I basically need two numbers side by side that multiply to give me 72. Okay, so if I start factoring, my factors are 1 and 72. And remember, my large one's positive, my small one's negative. So negative 1 and 72. Negative 2 and is it 36? Yes. Okay, negative 3 and 24. Negative 4 and 18. 5 doesn't work. Let's see, negative 6 and 12. 7 doesn't work. Negative 8 and positive 9, which that's going to be what this factors into. So this is going to be x plus 9 and x minus 8. Okay. All right, so we have it factored. Boom. Then we're going to complete the table. So what it asks us to do is we're showing that if we evaluate, so if I plug in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 into my trinomial and I plug it into the factored form, I should get the same answer here. That's what I'm proving, is that when I plug these in, that's what evaluate means. When I plug these in, I should get the same answers. So wherever x is, I'm going to plug in 0. Wherever x is, I'm going to plug in 1. Wherever x is, I'm going to plug in 2. You see the pattern here. Again, we want to see the work here. If I just see answers, then you're not proving anything to me, because I need to see that when you plug it in here and when you plug it in here, you get the same thing. So I do need to see the work for both of those. Okay, and then 4. Okay, so 0 squared is 0, plus 0 is 0. 0 minus 72 is negative 72. 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 minus 72 is negative 70. Okay, 4 and 2 is 6. 6 minus 72 is negative 66. 3 squared is 9. Plus 3 is 12. Minus 72 should be negative 60. 16 and 4 is 20. 20 minus 72 is negative 52. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. And if we factored correctly, then these answers should be the same as these. So we get 0 plus 9 times 0 minus 8. 1 plus 9 times 1 minus 8. 2 plus 9 times 2 minus 8. 3 plus 9 times 3 minus 8. 4 plus 9 times 4 minus 8. Okay. 0 plus 9 is 9. 0 minus 8 is negative 8. 9 times negative 8 is negative 72. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 minus 8 is negative 7. 10 times negative 7 is negative 70. Okay. 2 plus 9 is 11. 2 minus 6 is negative 6. I'm sorry, 2 minus 8 is negative 6. So I've got 11 times negative 6 is negative 66. 3 plus 9 is 12. 3 minus 8 is negative 5. 12 minus negative 5. I'm sorry, 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. 4 plus 9 is 13. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. 13 times negative 4 is negative 52. So it's basically plug in, simplify, plug in, simplify. We've got to be able to plug in and simplify. I know that's an old skill, but you're going to need that for our Unit 5, for quadratics. That's going to be a big deal. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. That is the entire practice test, and good luck to you guys, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.